In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, all praise is due to Allah, creator of the worlds. Peace and blessings be upon his final messenger, Muhammad, and upon all the prophets and messengers who were sent as teachers of the natural order. O Allah, we thank you for bringing us together in this chamber in the great county of Lancashire to serve its people. We ask you to bless this gathering and grant wisdom, clarity, and sound judgment to all those present. Guide our deliberations and help us to make decisions that are just, fair, and compassionate. O Allah, we seek refuge in you from the love of status and the pursuit of personal gain. Protect us. Protect us from the hypocrisy of saying with our tongues that which is not in our hearts. Purify our intentions, O Allah, and save us from those who exploit public trust for private ambition, who twist words, sow division, and score political points at the expense of truth, morality, and the well-being of the people we are sworn to serve. Grant us the courage to uphold honesty, even when it is uncomfortable, and keep us steadfast upon the values of integrity, accountability, and sincere service. O Allah, this week we mark the start of the Hijri calendar, 1448 years since our Messenger Muhammad, upon him be peace, migrated with his people from the city of Mecca to be welcomed by the residents of Medina. O Allah, we ask you that in this year you grant us safety, prosperity, and strength. You grant it to all who work and live here in Preston and its surroundings. Forgive us our shortcomings and grant us success in all that we do for your pleasure and for the service of your creation. O Allah, we are mindful of the friendship agreement signed between our proud city and the historic city of Al-Khalil, Hebron. Let this bond not be a mere gesture or performative act, but a true testament to our sincerity in upholding justice and human dignity. A promise of genuine solidarity where we smile with them in their moments of joy and grieve with the families who have lost children and homes. We ask you, O Allah, to grant them peace and peace to all others who are in the similar situation, and bless this partnership and make it a source of real peace, understanding, and comfort for the people of Al-Khalil and the wider region. O Allah, grant us and our loved ones in this world goodness and in the hereafter. Protect us from the inner beast that resides in us all, and elevate our work. Elevate our work so that we leave behind the legacy of a better city, a better country, and a better world. Ameen.
I've got my booster cushion. What it was, a few members had mentioned that they couldn't see me. So I am short, by the way, as many of you will have noticed. All right, there are no plans for a fire alarm test. If you hear the alarm, please leave the building by the nearest exit. Please ensure mobile phones are switched off or on silent. Restrooms are located on all floors, but please ask a member of staff for details should you require one. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and will eventually be loaded onto the Council's YouTube channel. Can I please remind all members that whilst we can disagree politically, please remain respectful to each other whilst dealing with Council business. Now, members of the public, members and officers, you are reminded that under the openness of the Local Government Bodies Regulations 2014, the press and public may film, audio record, photograph and use social media whilst the meeting is in progress, for Part A items only. And as long as no disruption is caused to the meeting, anyone filming is asked to focus their attention on elected members rather than other visitors. Now, my first sad duty is to advise you that a former colleague, Thomas Huff, who worked for the council for 18 years, has sadly passed away. Thomas joined the council in 1990 as a plumber and progressed to be an operations manager prior to leaving the council in 2008. Our sympathies go out to his family and friends at this difficult time. Can we all stand for a minute's silence as a mark of respect? Please be seated. The 2026 Windrush Festival was held at Avenham and Miller Park on Sunday, 21st of June. It was a fabulous day celebrating the city's Afro-Caribbean and mixed race culture. Great music, food and fun was on offer, and the pictures from the event were fabulous to see. I'd like to thank the council, the organisers, and everyone who attended the event and made it such a fabulous day. The Windrush flag was also raised at the town hall in recognition of the Windrush generation who helped to rebuild Britain after World War II. Now, on Monday of this week, the council raised the Armed Forces flag and held a short ceremony at the Cenotaph in recognition of the contributions of those serving in the armed forces, including veterans who have and do protect this country. On Saturday, the 4th of July, Armed Forces Day will be incorporated with the Duke of Lancaster's Regiment anniversary parade and the 100-year centenary of the Cenotaph. All members have been invited to attend the event and are encouraged to RSVP the Chief Executive at the earliest convenience to make the event a special occasion for the city. On the 10th of July at 11 a.m., I will be at the Peace Garden marking Remembering Srebrenica, and I will be laying a wreath as a mark of respect. All members are welcome to join me on this occasion. Finally, because of the weather, can I suggest that we make questions as brief as possible, leave it to yourselves, and only ask pertinent questions. This will assist us to get to the more substantive items on the agenda. Thank you. Now, depending on how we progress today, I may adjourn to take a short comfort break, but we will see how we proceed. A bit like the hydration break that the footballers are having during the tournament. Are there any declarations of interest? Can members indicate they have any disclosable pecuniary interests or personal and prejudicial interests in the items being discussed on the agenda? Councillor Darby?
Thank you. I have a personal but not prejudicial interest on item 7 in that I'm a trustee of Disability Equality Northwest.
Thank you. Councillor Rowlinson?
Item 7, Director of Lancashire Community Finance.
Okay. Don't think any other members. Oh, Councillor Henshaw?
Yeah, same agenda item. I'm an employee of Disability Equality Northwest, so it's a disposable pecuniary interest. Thanks.
Anybody else? No. Okay. Go to minutes of the last meeting. Item 3, minutes of a meeting of council held on 20th May 2026. Are members happy that I sign the minutes as a correct record? Thank you, Councillor Crowe. And I'll sign the minutes later. All right. Item 4 is questions from members of the public. There are no questions at this meeting. Okay. Now we will take item 5, which is the questions to cabinet members, chairs of committees and representatives of outside bodies. Members are entitled to ask a question of any cabinet member or chair of a committee within their portfolio or terms of reference. And only one supplementary question may be asked, provided it is relevant to the regional question. We haven't received any written notifications for questions for members appointed to serve on outside bodies. If anyone has any questions to ask on the information items on the agenda, including the special urgency decisions, they should do so at this point, as another opportunity will not be given when we reach those items. Okay. Sorry, could you just put your hands up again, please? So we've got the Duke. You got them down?
Yeah, we'll take that.
See. Sorry, Councillor, could you just hold your plaque up, please? Councillor Walsh is there, sorry. And you just pulled your card up, then I can see that. Have you got it? We've got it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right then. Could we go to Councillor Henshaw as well? Sorry, there's many hands going up today. Yeah. Councillor Thompson, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This question is to Councillor Matthew Brown. Recently, in the recent elections, quite a number of candidates and some of the ones that are sitting councillors now signed a thing called the Palestinian Pledge. Does this have any place in Preston politics, as the initiation of this particular pledge was done by a Palestinian Solidarity Campaign, which is a political organisation which supports Hamas? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Obviously, our candidates were approached. What our candidates will do is look at whether we believe we should take a stand based around international law and humanity. And candidates have the choice where, and it was a cross-party thing, so it wasn't just Labour, it was Green, Liberals, Conservatives, Reform were asked, and people are signing it based on their own principles on it. Obviously, as a council, we have taken a principled stand in terms of acknowledging that there is a genocide taking place within Gaza and that we want to act accordingly and within international law. So people have a right to choose to sign that or not sign it. But obviously, we believe that we should be standing up for the rights of innocent Palestinian people who are caught up in a conflict. Thank you.
You have supplementary, Councillor Thompson.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Further to that, can I ask you, are you still pursuing the possible friendship agreement with a town in Israel?
What we have said all along is we want to use our influence, even as a small council, to promote peace. Now, if you do actually read about what happened when we had the Palestinian delegation from Hebron come over, there was a peace delegation of children and young people aged 17 and 18. So obviously that's the kind of thing we want to do. We will actively look to see if we can have a similar principle with a town or city in Israel. And we will look to do that. But obviously what we want to do is we want to see an end to conflict there. We want to see a just solution. But we also want to see a solution based upon international law, because the Palestinian community there have had breaches of international law throughout the decades. And it is declared as a genocide by many international scholars. And even the United Nations said similar. So obviously, either we stand behind the principles of international law, or we don't in this chamber, whether it's Russia being invaded or whether it's other countries, we've got to get behind the principles of international law. We do have a diverse community here. We wanted to listen to the voices who were concerned about what's happening within the region, and we felt a friendship arrangement with a town and city was an appropriate thing. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Whitton, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, you actually talked about armed forces and the flag raising. So I was there on Monday and it was a lovely short ceremony. And the veterans were there in spite of the real hot weather and the heat. Wonderful veterans that we have. Disappointingly, I was the only councillor present in addition to the Mayor's Civic Party. And I should have said this is a question for you, Matthew, at the beginning. Does the leader agree that we need to do more to support our armed forces? And can you be confident that the cenotaph will be ready for the big event on the 4th of July? Thank you.
Absolutely, we do. We've had very experienced armed forces champions, whether it's the current mayor, whether it's Councillor Borrow, or others before, Councillor Close, obviously, until very recently. We're very committed because we understand that the armed forces community, yes, we need to support them in terms of keeping us safe. But additionally, there's issues with the armed forces community around housing, mental health, and getting support more generally in society when they leave the armed forces. So yeah, we'll be encouraging people to attend these events. Obviously, a Monday is not always brilliant in terms of getting people to events, but we'll be encouraging people to do that. And my understanding of the cenotaph being completed is I think it will be completed by the 4th of July, the Chief Executive nodding. So yeah, we will encourage people to get there. I think because there's been more notice for this 4th of July event, we will get a lot more members. Sadly, I'm actually away on holiday then, so I can't get there, but I would have been there if I was free. Thank you.
Do you have a supplementary? No. Thank you. Councillor Rush.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to address this question to Councillor Brown, please. Over recent months, residents have contacted me regarding the safety of children in my ward. In particular, there's been reports of unknown men hanging around schools and following children. Ashton Primary and Ashton Community College have both issued safety guidance to the parents of these children via the official comms. What I want to know is this the Preston we want for our children where it's not safe to play out, especially with the summer holidays coming up? And what are the council doing to assure parents that they're taking these allegations seriously?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What is being reported is very serious. Obviously, we're not the police authority, but we do have a supportive role. We do have a community safety function that liaises directly with the police. Any intelligence that we hear as councillors need to be sent directly through that role or directly to the police themselves. So I think what we need to do, if you're okay with this, is if you just let us know after the meeting where these instances are, we can actually forward it directly to the police through our own community safety officers, because they do work every single day with the community to keep people safe. And obviously, safety of children is something we are very concerned about. And if there's any more we can do around educating people of the risks and children of the risks as a council, we'll do that going forward, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Any supplementary? Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Matthew. Yes, I have spoken to the police, and one of the things I sort of wanted to mention, we are obviously a city of sanctuary, and one of the issues that has been raised is that maybe these people are not from this country, they're new to the area. There has been a circle HMO placed within a few hundred metres of a primary school, and I think, do we need to look at whether we're a city of sanctuary, or is it more important we're a city of safety for our children?
All I'll say, if there's any incidences or risks to children, wherever it's coming from, we will take it seriously. I can commit to that across this side of the chamber. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This question's for the Cabinet Member for Parks and Community Safety, based on the constitution changes announced yesterday, I think. I speak today on behalf of residents of Preston Rural East who are quite frankly refusing to accept the current state of affairs with our waste services. When we announced the new collection schedule, we were promised a clean start. Instead, the rollout has been absolute rubbish. Weeks after the launch, my inbox is completely overflowing with complaints from angry constituents whose bin collections are repeatedly being missed. I've raised this through the proper channels, but the explanations I've received so far have been a waste of time. It seems whenever asked for a clear timeline of when these issues will be resolved, we're treated to the same recycled excuses about broken and limited vehicles and a bedding in period. My constituents, frankly, are tired of being ignored. So can the Cabinet member stop wheeling out the same old justifications, clean up this mess and tell my constituents exactly when they're going to get the service that they're paying for? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, Councillor Bell, if I can just clarify, with the constitutional change that was emailed to members the other day, I have highlighted that it is yet to be fully amended to reflect the roles. Waste and collection will fall under my colleague Councillor Coupland as Neighbourhood Services Cabinet member. So if I can pass your question on to her, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for the question. Before I answer the question, it was remiss of me. I should have declared an interest in item 7 and the Chief Exec Safari in Preston. So can I make that amendment, please? Thank you. Yeah, I'm aware of a number of concerns, to say the least, expressed around collection of food waste bin that's had a knock-on effect on other collections. The council's introduced the food waste collection along with other changes to collection arrangements on April 2026. And I think it's really important that, you know, I give this explanation because I know myself from my own constituents in my own ward that, you know, raising issues, texting, email regarding the miscollections, not collection on the right day. So I have asked officers for a full explanation, which I'm going to give now. The introduction of food waste collection was in response to central government requires to provide this service. This requirement placed on all council has led to difficulty in acquiring specialist collection vehicles, and this has impacted Preston and other councils nationally. All our collection vehicles should have been with us in January this year. However, we are still awaiting delivery of 3 of these vehicles, 3 of 8. We anticipate that we will have these vehicles in July or August, and this has meant that the waste team has had to use vehicles that would not usually use this for this type of collection, decreasing efficiency and putting additional strain on the supervision of collection staff. The problem with food waste have also added to the difficulties associated with large-scale RAM changes. These changes always have some impact on collections as both crews and residents get used to new collection days and times. Inevitably, some mistakes are made and some tweaks are required. The impact of the food waste issues have made it more difficult for our ops team to deal with these tweaks and changes, as have some other factors such as fire at the waste transfer station. But they're working through these issues, and I know Mark and his team is doing a fantastic job getting through those issues. Day by day, issues and problems are being resolved, and in the long term, some properties may have to have collection days changed to another day, and officers are looking at this and other issues to ensure that residents will have settled and effect collection service that they're used to. So what I'm saying is that, you know, we need a little bit patient. I know residents and our constituents are concerned. The bins haven't been collected, but the team are doing a fantastic job. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Coupland. Councillor Bell, do you have a supplementary? Councillor Guise.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to ask a question of the Cabinet Member for Planning. And I'd like to ask about the new scheme of delegation that will be coming in. And I wonder if you agree that it is absurd that work on a tree, important though it certainly is, will be afforded less public scrutiny than a reserved matters application for 499 houses.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the question.
I'm not sure how to answer that question because it's not as simple as that. So with this new scheme of delegation, which is being introduced in October, there is a report that will be going to full council in September, so we can discuss it further then. But just to answer your question, there will be an opportunity for applications to be reviewed by a allocated officer and an allocated member. That may be cabinet member or it may be the chair of planning, so that's not been decided yet. But the matter of 499 houses, any less than 500 being called to a planning committee, it's not as specific as that. There will be opportunities for the planning team to review cases, applications, and then decide. So it's not as simple as a tree going in and then 499 houses of development not. So I don't think we can simplify it as such. Thank you.
Do you have a supplementary? Gosh, that was a bit loud.
Yes, I think the case is exactly opposite according to the advice that's been circulated. If you look at the way the schedules are categorised, reserve matters below 500 houses is, I'm going to get this the wrong way around, aren't I? But it's Schedule 1 and tree work can fall into Schedule 2, which can end up at the planning committee, whereas Schedule 1 never can. Just speaking more generally, I can't see how this is going to have any beneficial effect in Preston when you consider how our planning committee behaves. Because on major applications, large housing applications, the committee behaves responsibly and it in general will support officer recommendations. If the site is in the strategic area and everything's been done well, it gets approved. If it's not in a strategic area, the committee will refuse permission. The cases where there's a bit more sharp disagreement between officers and the committee are smaller applications. We call them minor, but they have an outsized effect on the local population. I'm thinking of things like the large HMO on Sharrow Green Lane, the conversion of the former monastery, the case of the Triangle recently, an HMO on Rose Terrace was refused, and the former carpet shop that was demolished on Blackpool Road. These cases produce a lot of local valid concerns and legitimate complaints, which councillors are plugged into more efficiently than officers. And what will happen is there'll be no effect on the amount of house building that happens in Preston, but this sort of local accountability on cases like this will be lost. So do you agree that the Labour government has enacted a change which is too sweeping and too broad, and that no significant number of additional houses will be built in Preston because of it?
So just to mention this Schedule 2 functions, it does actually state that there will be, like I mentioned, a nominated officer and a nominated member agree that an application should be referred to the planning committee. There will be a gateway test, which will include if there's any economic, social or environmental issues of significance in the local area. So these things will be taken into consideration. In relation to the actual scheme itself, it's a national scheme, so it's not something that Preston we've decided or planning team have decided or myself. It's a national scheme, so it's going to be swept across the whole country. The purpose of it is to streamline the committee. So essentially, the committee itself will be focusing on those projects, the bigger projects, the ones that deserve the time and the attention and the officers' dedication, research and everything that they put into it. Not that the other applications don't, but that's where we have officer delegation. So they are equipped to do that gateway test to determine which applications need to go to committee and which ones that they can assess and complete and grant or refuse themselves. In relation to the nominated officer and the nominated member that will be conducting these gateway tests, we are still able to have those conversations if there's anything of concern and see if those criteria are met. So although the call-in process will no longer be available, there is still a gateway test that we can use if there is something of significance that needs to be called into planning committee. There was a Q&A session that officers put up just before committee, today. So I hope if members had any other questions, they did go there and ask those. Otherwise, please feel free to approach me. More than happy to have a conversation about it and facilitate a conversation with officers if needed as well. It is a very big change and I appreciate those concerns. But like I said, it's a national scheme that we're putting out. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Afzal. Could we go to Councillor Walsh, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question actually relates similarly to the last topic. So I'd also want to say that Schedule 1 have no recourse to come to council, even if it's agreed, which HMO applications actually come under. So given that under the new national scheme of delegation planning decisions.
Councillor Walsh, who is your question to?
Sorry, my question is to Councillor Afzal.
Councillor Afzal, okay, thank you.
Given that under the new national scheme of delegation for planning decisions, HMO related applications will fall into Schedule 1 and therefore will be determined by officers with no opportunity for councillors or even the chair of the committee to call them into committee. How does the Cabinet plan to proactively address the resulting reduction in democratic oversight and public scrutiny of HMO decisions in Preston? Members will remember the recent Rose Terrace HMO application where councillors across the chamber voted unanimously against the proposal after it was called in following officers recommending approval.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we are already, as a council and the planning department, working on restricting houses of multiple occupation through the removal of permitted development rights. So that is already ongoing. We already appreciate and realise that there is a need that we need to address. So that is ongoing in terms of the Article 4 direction being removed. But in addition to that, we are also concluding that in our Central Lancashire local plan. So that is ongoing work. So we are aware of that. Thank you.
You have a supplementary, Councillor Walsh.
So I understand that the Article 4 changes will make it more difficult for a HMO application, but that will not change the process in terms of the fact that officers will make that decision and councillors will have no say or input in that, or no mechanism to have a say in that, because it will come under Schedule 1. Therefore, would the Cabinet consider what some other councils are considering, which is setting up something akin to a HMO subcommittee, which would have a say on those licensing applications as per the rights under the Housing Act of 2012?
I think the work that officers have already started, the processes, would actually cover all of that, all those concerns. So because the permitted development rights will no longer be available for applicants to make those applications, I don't believe there would be a need for a subcommittee. The gateway test in relation to the national scheme of delegation is still available. So if there is anything that's having an economic or local impact, crime rates or any other concerns, there is still that opportunity to take that application to the nominated council officer or the nominated member. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Afzal. Could we go to Councillor Iqbal, please?
Mayor, question to Matthew Brown. Matthew, Cabinet recently announced a cost of living package over £1 million. Could you tell the council the benefit to the people of Preston, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Javid. It is a very significant investment. So it's totally now £2 million, the money that we put into cost of living. And this is a political choice from this side of the chamber. Obviously, supported across the chamber mainly, but we're very pleased. So this can benefit everybody's ward, whichever ward you're in. So the series of measures we're going to see, again, free swimming all year for pensioners, children, disabled, mothers on maternity leave and those on income support, and that is regardless of income. So do take advantage of that. There's also going to be free swimming lessons for less well-off families. What we are doing, and we're very proud of as well, and thanks to Councillor Hindle for coming up with this idea, is that if somebody has a terminal illness in this community in Preston, they won't have to pay council tax. Now, considering council tax is £3,000 or £4,000 for some people, that will take the stress off being in that very, very difficult situation. We're going to continue the one-off payments up to £400 for the poorest families with children and £100 for the poorest pensioners. £120,000 to support an extensive network of food support across the city, something we've been doing for years. But if somebody's struggling, they can go to one of our food hubs, food banks, and get food and support there. £100,000 extra for discretionary housing payments to stop people from being at risk of homelessness. We're putting more money into affordable finance through the credit union and Preston Community Finance. We're going to support young people into employment through a new cooperative enterprise. And also what we're going to do is employ a new officer to reduce the use of bailiffs, because there are reports that bailiff use in this city is not that favourable towards people who are in a very difficult situation. But also, we're very keen to substantially reduce the weekly cost of bus travel for children and young people. So we're looking how we can really substantially reduce that cost of getting on the bus to go to school or travel. So all in all, this is a huge, as council our size, it's a huge redistribution of wealth to the less well off, mainly, and we should all benefit from it, because in all our wards, there are people who are struggling within our community. So please do take advantage of our new cost of living measures. There'll be more information about it very soon, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Do you have supplementary, Councillor Akol? No. Councillor Holmes, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You'll be pleased to know that my question has been covered, so you can cross me off the list.
Thank you. Good to hear. Councillor Henshaw, please.
It's just a quick one, actually. Councillor Sarwar, I was with you at the Preston Bus Users Group inaugural meeting, and I just wondered if you'd like to tell us a little bit about that. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for your question, Councillor Henshaw. Yes, you were at the meeting. So what, being in this post, as you know, we've had the success of the climate G recommendations, which came about in 2024. From that meeting, I sat down with officers and we decided to follow on with some of the recommendations, which mattered a lot to the Preston public. And one of them were having a Preston Bus User Group. So thankfully, after a year of pushing, we managed a sit down with Lancashire County Council and other partners, including Lancaster Bus User Group. We had our first meeting, although the meeting isn't fully formed as of yet, the group fully formed as of yet. We are going to be going out to other partners to ask for their involvement and see what we can do as residents, as organisation leads to improve services for residents, I suppose. In a nutshell, really. I mean, I can't really speak too much about it. We don't have a constitution as of yet. Still very early days, but I am proud to support this as a cabinet member for climate change, and I'll continue doing my best to support the residents and members of that group moving forward. Hope that answers your question.
Okay, Councillor Henshaw. Okay. Councillor Patel, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Welcome to the Indian winter. My question is for the leader of the council, Councillor Brown. I'm sure the leader will congratulate our new mayor and everyone involved in the successful opening of the tram bridge last month, in which approximately 5,000 people attended. At the event, we say the return of the Preston town crier after several decades, which was very popular. Would the leader inform the council if there are any plans to bring back the town crier? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Patel. Yeah, a big thanks, Madam Mayor, for the event. There was 5,000 people there, the reopening of the tram bridge. absolutely amazing event, and obviously the Labour Council secured the investment for it, so very good indeed. But one of the highlights was indeed the return of the Preston Town Crier, Mr. John Spencer Barnes. We've been in discussions with John about bringing the Town Crier back to Preston, which will be very popular, and obviously on this side of the chamber, as much as any, we're very keen to express civic pride in a creative way. So we're in discussions with him, and we're quite confident we'll be able to bring the Town Crier back to Preston after many a decade. And we're looking at whether we can make a pronouncement every month on the flag market or somewhere similar, and obviously with local news and a focus on what the council's doing, as well as national and international news. Now, when I was a lad growing up in Leyland, there was a big thing when the Town Crier came on. When he was shopping, you had to be quiet and listen when he got his bell out. And I think we need to probably get back to that a little bit, you know, and I think bringing him back will be an amazing thing. And I think it'll cheer people up, and especially without sounding a bit too old, I think this age of social media, we lose a little bit of human interaction with our news, and bringing the Town Crier back will be very good. And he's very keen to do it, and I believe it's cheap as well.
Okay, thank you. Any supplementary, councillor? Is that right? The Duke, I have you on the list. Is that right? No? Okay, we move on. The Jewel, I also have you on the list.
No, I have a question later on, Madam Mayor, but thank you very much. I do not have a question for now.
Okay. Councillor Nuttall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It was just to raise a technical issue with the stream, but the moment has passed now.
Oh.
No question.
Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you. Don't think we have any more questions from anybody. Have I missed anybody out? No. Thank you, everybody. Item 6 is a report on the financial strategy outturn 2025-26. Councillor Rollison, are you moving this report?
Thank you. So this report provides the financial outturn position of the council when compared to budget for 25-26. It explains major variations between the latest approved revenue and capital budgets and actual expenditure, and quantifies the impacts on the council's reserves. The report includes the treasury management operations for the financial year. There is an underspend on the general fund of just over 1 million against budget, but after allowing for slippage, which is money that should have been spent and has not been and will be spent quite soon, there is just an underspend of 0.26 million, which is very tight budgeting. The major variances are included at Appendix B. The slippage requests are at Appendix C. In summary, some of the key variances are increased costs of fleet management and agency staff in neighbourhood services, and also increased costs of external audit, underachievement of revenue in areas such as investment property, licensing, cemetery and crematorium, and parks events. A significant bad debt provision for investment property, but higher returns on treasury investments and lower utilities costs. A significant amount of grant funding has been received in year, which relates to projects to be delivered in future years, such as the operational grant for the Vault Youth Zone of 1.1 million. Accounting rules require we recognise the income in the year of receipt, but we won't incur the expenditure in the same year. So the proposal is to transfer 3.5 million of these grants to earmarked reserves, and the outturn document sets out how this will be brought back into budget in 26-27 and 27-28. On capital, there is an underlying underspend of 90,000 met from either a revenue contribution or by external grants, which could be used when financing the capital programme. Investment in council capacity included in the budget set in March should help to address the issues of project slippage and the underachievement of income in some service areas. The most significant aspect of this year's outturn report is the request to consider the use of right to buy receipts for the council housing projects coming forward later in this meeting. The capital accounting guidance requires that the capital programme be financed in the most cost-effective way. That would include using any capital receipts in year to fund that year's capital expenditure to reduce borrowing, regardless of the source of the receipts or the projects they contribute to financing. The council has received significantly more right to buy receipts in 25-26. This is due to the discount rules for right to buy changing and many people trying to beat the deadline before the reduced discount came into force. For anyone who's a bit younger, perhaps, this council used to have thousands of council houses and we passed them all to a new housing association, but part of the deal was that we got a percentage of any houses they sold from then on under the right to buy scheme. And that just recognises how much investment this council put into those houses over the decades that they did own them. So there is an option for council to set aside these additional right to buy receipts rather than use them in the 25-26 financing, and to approve the use of these additional right to buy receipts for use in the council owned housing scheme in 26-27 to reduce the financing costs of that scheme, to bring it closer to be cost neutral over the lifetime of the scheme. Council is recommended to approve the revenue and capital outturn position, treasury management report, slippage, general fund and earmarked reserve transfers as per decision 2.1A to E, and whether to set aside the additional right to buy receipts received in 25-26 for use in the council owned housing project at 2.1 small f.
Thank you, Councillor Robinson. Do we have a seconder for the report? Councillor Brown, thank you. Are there any amendments? No amendments. Councillor Brown, do you want to speak on the report? No. Okay, can we now? Oh, Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Got a question. It's quite a technicality, so you might want to answer it or take it away. It's page 18 of the appendix, but page 44 in our report, it says that council tax collection rates are low in year, but there's no statistic given. Could you maybe give a response on how low it is and what actions were taken to correct?
So I was under the impression that our council tax collection rates would be improving. They may still be low overall. We are taking measures to improve them. The change to the 20% to the council tax benefit scheme that we did should help, and we've hired more staff to recover council tax. It may not be fully realised this year. It will be in coming years, but I can certainly get a more detailed response to you.
Anybody else? Any questions on that? No. Okay, so can we now vote on? No, I don't. Can we now vote on this item? All those in favour, please show. Anyone against? Any abstentions? Report carried. Item 7 is a report on requesting the acceptance of funded budget increase and approve the utilisation of the Crisis Resilience Fund. Councillor Kelly, I believe you are moving this report with an alteration.
Yes, I am indeed. Can I just thank my Reform colleague for also wearing shorts in the chamber today, so that I'm not the only one to stand out. So I can't hear you, Bill. So the acceptance of a funded budget increase to approve utilisation. I move this report with an alteration in that organisation Lancashire Community Finance needs to be adding to Appendix A on page 80 under Resilience Building Investments, as it was admitted in an error. This report follows on from a previous report in January 2026, which provided a full fully approved a funded budget increase of £801,032 from Lancashire County Council, and we are now setting out in this report an additional £997,943 increase, which will take the total for this year to 1.798, or nearly 1.8 million pounds on crisis resilience. I'm not going to go through all the decisions, but if you look at 2.1, there are 7 conditions in there that need to be looked at. It's a very interesting report, and I would encourage you to look at it has been left to us to work out what we define as a crisis. So the Community Resilience Fund provides short-term, non-repayable financial support to help people meet essential needs during a difficult period, while helping them to recover from unexpected financial shocks and building long-term financial resilience. So it's a moving on from simply providing support to making people resilient when they have been supported. And I think that's a really good initiative. There's a number of, we're going to have a resilience service and community coordination, so we can coordinate where the money is going. And as by magic, so it's 1.7 million this year, but we will be each year for the next 3 years getting an additional amount, but this year's a particularly big amount. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Is that seconded? Councillor Brown? Right. Are there any amendments? Councillor Jewell?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's not an amendment. Well, it kind of could be, because we're talking about how we defined crises. So I take your guidance, Madam Mayor. I just want to make a few points for consideration by the Cabinet member on this. So whether you consider it an amendment or whether I can make my point, I'll leave that to your discretion.
I think, Councillor Jewell, if you want to make the point first, and then we can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I don't have a formal, right, okay, in that form of an amendment, yes. So we broadly welcome this, Madam Mayor. Resilience clearly is a key part of what we need to be promoting within our communities. But I would just like to highlight a number of items for some of my constituents in terms of that transfer that happened last year between the ESA to universal credit. And indeed, I have one constituent who spent the largest part of last year having fallen between the cracks with no benefits whatsoever. I'm pleased to say that she is now getting benefits. But the other element to that as well is around PIP payments. And indeed, another resident of mine has made an application for enhanced PIP back in December of last year, and based on a conversation just recently with DWP, it may be another 3 or 4 months before there is a determination on that. So the point I'm trying to make, Madam Mayor, is there are elements, as far as I've understood, within this crisis resilience funds that may make reference to people already applying for universal credit or PIP. And so the consideration that I would really quite appreciate if you would, the Cabinet member would meet with us to discuss how we can take account that actually there are people in very desperate situations within our communities, and yet they are having to wait for 9, 10 plus months for a determination for enhanced payments that are exactly because of the condition they find themselves in, or because, and I'd read recent reports, there are over 21,000 people in the country who have fallen between the cracks in going from ESA to universal credit. So I would like us to be mindful of that, and maybe within the invitation to design and define what crisis is, I would welcome a meeting to discuss that further.
Thank you, Councillor Jewell. Quite valid point. Councillor Kelly, do you want to come back on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, always it's a cross-party issue, isn't it, in terms of how we support people who are on benefits. So happy to have a meeting with you and to discuss. There is a requirement for this report to go forward, though, and for the money to be transferred. So I would appreciate if you support that, so we can facilitate the money. But let's have those conversations. But yeah, there are many people being impacted by the long delays in benefits. And, you know, obviously there are currently PIP is being reviewed, going through consultation. That might be a useful way to raise some of these issues. And obviously we know about the, you know, different benefit pots being impacted in a different way. So, yep, happy to sit down with you, with the officers in charge. We have some really good officers. Thank you. But we need to pass it today.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Councillor Brown, would you like to come back on? No, thank you. So can we now go to the vote on this item? All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Anyone against? Do we have any abstentions? Item 8 is a report on the statement of licensing policy 2026 to 2031. Councillor Afzal, will you be moving this report?
I will. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just going to let Councillor Rawlinson take his seat before I go. Thank you very much.
So just before you begin, if people do need to leave the room and just they need to go out, please do just show your hands and just go, because I know it's a bit hot and we have had long questions. So please, need that hydration break, let me know.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report outlines the key changes proposed in Preston City Council's statement of licensing policy. The revised policy represents a significant shift towards a more detailed and applicant-focused approach, aligning with licensing decisions with the council's wider strategic priorities, including community safety, health and well-being, regeneration, inclusion and economic growth. It introduces clearer expectations around risk assessment, responsible management and early engagement with stakeholders, while providing enhanced guidance on licensing processes and enforcement. A notable development is the introduction of designated areas nearing stress, enabling a more targeted assessment of local issues such as crime, nuisance and public health concerns. Overall, the proposed policy aims to strengthen the promotion of the licensing objectives through a more proactive, evidence-led and partnership-based approach. I therefore recommend Council approve this report as per conditions in 2.1. Thank you.
Councillor Afzal, is this seconded? Right, Councillor Brown, okay. Thank you. Are there any amendments? No. Any questions? No. All right. Can we now vote on this item then? Show of hands. All those in favour? Yep. Forgetting. Oh, I always forget to vote. Nobody's pointing that out. Anyone against? No. Any abstentions? No. Report is carried. Oh. Fine, Councillor Patel, £5 to the Mayor's charity. Yeah, I did, and I shall make sure and let you all know. To move to item 9 is a report on the Gambling Act 2005, Statement of Principles. Councillor Afzal, will you be moving this report?
I will. Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report, very similar to the previous one, it provides an overview of the proposed changes to our Gambling Act Statement of Principles for between 2026 and 2029. The revised policy represents a significant update, moving from a shorter 3-part document to a more comprehensive and applicant-focused approach that aligns with the Council's wider strategic priorities. Greater emphasis is placed on understanding local risks, preventing gambling-related harm and strengthening safeguards for children, young people and vulnerable adults. The proposed policy introduces enhanced requirements for local risk assessments, clearer guidance for operators and applicants, and expanded expectations around staff training, self-exclusion measures, and responsible management practices. It also identifies specific areas of concern where additional scrutiny will be applied to applications to ensure that potential impacts on local communities are appropriately assessed and mitigated. Overall, the updated statement of principles seeks to promote a more evidence-led, preventative and partnership-based approach to gambling regulation across Preston. I therefore recommend Council approve this report as per conditions in 2.1. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Is that seconded? Councillor Desai. Thank you. Any amendments to this report? Any questions? No. Do you want to make any points on this? No. Can we now go to the vote on this item? All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Against? No. Any abstentions? No. Vote is carried. We now move on to item 10, which is a report on the change of time for meetings of the Guild Committee 2026-27. Councillor Rollison, will you be moving the report?
I'll just move it, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Is it seconded? Right, Councillor Kelly beat you. You beat Councillor Brown to it. Right. Do we have any amendments or questions on this? No. Councillor Kelly, do you want to come back on this? Yeah. Please don't talk with your mouth full. I'm going to build my funds well here. So can we now vote on this item, please? Could you show your hands if in favour? Thank you. Anyone against? No. Any abstentions? No. Report is carried. Okay. Item 11 is the notification of changes to the membership of committees. Are there any changes to be reported? Councillor Brown and Councillor Henshaw. Yeah, so Councillor Brown.
Yeah, just one from us. Councillor Nathan will move from the Employment Committee to the Crime and Disorder Committee.
Right. Councillor Henshaw.
Yeah, and I'd like to take up the seat on Employment Committee instead of Crime and Disorder. Thank you.
Thank you. So item 12 is the leader's report. Councillor Brown, do you wish to speak on the report, which is for noting only? No. Thank you. Can we note the item, please? Thank you. 13. Okay. Item 13 is special urgency decisions, and there is one to note for information, which was published on the 19th of June. Item 14, the date of the next meeting. Please note that the next ordinary meeting of the council will take place at 10 a.m. on Thursday, 16th of July, 26 in the Town Hall, Preston, and not on the 24th of September as detailed on the agenda. The September meeting will take place after the July meeting. Please note the date and change of time for the July meeting. We don't want you all turning up, you know, on the wrong day. Right. Why? Well, I think there was a clash with the Lancashire County Council meetings. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry. Oh, Councillor Brown.
Madam Mayor, can we just have a bit of clarity from the Chief Executive on the timings of the meetings? Because my understanding is we're going to have one in July to avoid August. So is that going ahead again or not?
Madam Mayor, the confirmation, the meeting for July is part of the amended programme, removing August Council. So you will have the meeting in July and the next meeting in September.
Are you okay with that, Councillor Brown? That clarify?
It does, Madam Mayor, but we're getting confused because in the bundle, it says it's in September, not in July. So that has been clarified, I think, by the Chief Executive.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, there was a fault with the note and the Mayor announced the amendment. July in effect replaces the August meeting. So we will proceed with 16th of July as the next meeting. Yeah.
Okay. Item 15. Now we need to consider passing the following resolution. That the public be excluded from this meeting during consideration of the following items of business on the grounds that there is likely to be disclosure of exempt information which is described in the paragraphs of Schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972, which is specified against the heading to the item, and that in all the circumstances of the case, the public interest in maintaining the exemption outweighs the public interest in disclosing it. Are you all happy to agree the exemption and move to Part B? Thank you all.